Hello everyone. Here's a question from a friend. He says, I was raised in an intact family. My father was a strong man, and we all knew who was in charge. So I was well-rounded in terms of masculinity. But in today's world, once she realizes you're not going to be pushed around, she's intrigued. I'm telling you she'll dump you sooner rather than later because she knows there are plenty of simps out there who will give her cash prizes and put her on a pedestal. She may actually dislike or despise the guy, but it's easier for her because she has less work to do than with a guy who she'll have to fight with to get her way. So when you have a man who is grounded, when you have a man who is masculine, the heat is perceived as a threat. The simp never had a masculine man around in this house, and even if he was raised in a marital home, that man he saw as the leader of the house was weak himself because he didn't educate him. I remember when I wasn't on the dating app and I was going through my transition in the red pill, while also trying to date and get my finances in order. So I was having a message exchange with the woman, and she was trying to be cute about it. And you know there's a lot of women on there, you gotta find just feminists and independent mindset women. She was trying to be cute about what she was looking for in a man. And she basically said, paraphrasing, I'd like a man who lets me steal a blanket while we're watching television shows on the couch, who lets me control the remote so we can watch Friends episodes. What she was trying to say was that she wanted to be dominant and in control, which is what I gathered from the conversation. She was talking about how career-oriented and driven she was. She essentially desired a simp, and as you stated, women find simps much easier to deal with than men in control. This is why simps are currently awarded in our culture. There was a time when weak men were weeded out by other men, and other men made sure that these men were weeded out. You will not rise to the top of the food chain because doing so will weaken society. Let me just throw out an idea here. This is a when does change theory, and I'm going to say this changed when the norm for men became white-collar jobs rather than blue-collar jobs. When men were able to enter white-collar comfortable jobs where they sat in the office and got to dominate the hen, you know they hit the hen group of women in there. They got to assert their dominance by doing computer and typewriters and demands for the secretary. Once that was introduced, women began to prefer that type of man over the blue-collar man. Prior to that time, most men worked blue-collar. You could simply say that the majority of men were blue-collar hard workers who worked at the plant, the factory, and on the assembly line. If you were a man in need of a job, you worked your way up from beneath those men, and you quickly realized that there was a hard hierarchy of males, and there would be no tolerance for weakness or tiptoeing. In the transition from white-collar to blue-collar work, you have individuals such as men who will stab you in the back in a white-collar sense, but they are not punished or beaten up. If you stab someone in the back at a blue-collar job, you got your ass whooped. When they get to white-collar work, you can fly some emails, play political games, and do all of that, and then come to the office meeting the next week like, what? I didn't do anything, and there was no physical repercussion. At that point in the transition, men's dominance did not require physical labor or masculinity. You could actually play female games in the white-collar industry and get and rise up okay. And this is why women saw it and said, hey, we can do that too. We're actually good at it in the office. We're better than you in office politics, and I can thrive and rise up. There was no physicality because they were going for white-collar-oriented, college-educated preppy type guys, right? And at that point, the seeds of simp were sown so strong, masculine men were out. These guys were rewarded for doing simple tasks and being less masculine. Now here's what happened to those men as time passed. As we saw that progress, these men eventually became sexual harassment suit targets, #MeToo targets, and so on. Why? Because they were easy to manipulate, easy to get overall, and it was easier for the women to live 20-year complaints on weak men rather than strong alpha men. These women would rather go through the easy men, the guys who would validate her, the ones who would pay for all the dates, no questions asked, the ones who would give her prizes, the individuals who would simply sign the marital contract with no questions asked. In our time, I always say that the problem is not with women or female nature, but with weak men who give up on everything for women. Finally, it will cost the entire civilization. We need more masculine men, so be your best. If you have children, try right now to imbue or give them masculine qualities, at least some self-confidence. Don't forget to hit the like button to help spread the word about this video. Thank you for taking your daily dose of red pills, and remember that a red pill a day keeps bad poker hands away. So have a good rest of your day and cheers.